Hello, Broncos country. Welcome to week 6 tailgate talk. I am here, you know me, David, with my best buddy, Jared, here to answer all of your pregame questions and comments about the Los Angeles Chargers, the Denver Broncos week 6 opponent here. Jared, how are you today?
I'm doing okay. I'm feeling good. I'm riding on this 3-game win streak. So let's see if we can make it 4 today back in Denver. So I know guys like Kev and Spotty are all at the game. I'm a little jealous of that.
Definitely.
But other than that, yeah, I'm excited to see what the Broncos have in store for us today.
Absolutely right. Now, we talked pretty thoroughly about the game on the pregame podcast. So, guys, if you haven't checked out that pregame podcast this week, make sure you do that. But Jared, now that we're on game day, and I think the big news is as we get closer to game time is that Joey Bosa, who was questionable before the game, has been ruled out. So that will be something that'll help the Broncos offense hopefully get going. They'll have Bud Dupree slot in, who I think had 2 sacks last game. So he might still be a little bit of a problem for this Broncos offense. But at least, with 2 starters out for this Broncos offensive line, that at least is on paper a positive thing for your team.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about the defensive injuries for the Chargers, let's talk about the offensive injuries for the Broncos. 2 offensive linemen not starting today. So talking about the defensive lineman going to be a big point of this game for the Chargers. Let's see what our backups can do there on the offensive line, right?
Yep, absolutely. So we'll have Alex Forsyth starting at center, guys. We'll have, I don't know if it's going to be Cam Fleming. He is active today for the Broncos, so he may be starting today. It may be that they put Matt Peart over there. You will, I'm guessing, not see Frank Crum start this game for the Broncos.
No.
But yeah. Another couple of interesting notes, guys, and please start bringing your questions, start bringing your comments if you've got them. We'd love to answer them because that's what we're here for. But on the Broncos side of things, Jared, you've got Audric Estime off the injured reserve, back and active for today's game. You also have Devon Vele active for the game after Josh Reynolds gets that finger injury, has to have surgery, goes on IR for at least 4 games. So are you excited to have him back for the game after not seeing him since Seattle in week 1?
Well, I haven't seen him at all.
True. Yeah.
David, you're tracking. I couldn't watch the first 3 games. So I'm interested to see what all the hype is about. That's really the biggest point here for me is I want to see what this hype is about with Vele. You guys kept talking about how he's a replacement for Tim Patrick. And you know how I hate I love me some Tim Patrick. So I hate thinking that he's replaceable. But I want to see what he could do. And it's weird that he's kind of been a healthy scratch for a couple games, healthy / maybe not fully healthy scratch. So I'm interested to, with Josh Reynolds being out, see if they're going to even pull him in. The other thing I'm excited to do, the only time we saw Marvin Mims in the last 3 games was an end around and obviously on the punt return set. So I'm interested to see if we can pull him a little bit more into this offense because we just haven't seen it. We had such high hopes for him this week or this year to have his, sophomore year breakout, and we just haven't seen it.
And, and he showed it in those kick returns last week for sure. But, even on that end around, just with the ball in his hands, he's so dangerous, right? Like he can create, and it's something this offense really, really needs. So, yeah, you would love to see him get incorporated. But it feels like the 80th week in a row that we're saying that. And it's just, how it is. Yeah. So, guys, once again, we are here talking to you about the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Denver Broncos in week 6. And we've got that game coming up in just a little bit under an hour kickoff time. So we're here to answer all your questions, guys. If you've got comments, send them over. We want to talk about them. Jared, let me ask you this. Do you think that Audric Estime is going to get a big role today, or is he going to be just kind of a change of pace guy for Javonte Williams?
I think he's going to be a change of pace guy for Javonte Williams, and here's why. Javonte Williams had a little bit of a breakout game last week. At the end of the Jets game, he was playing very well. Last week, he was running the ball pretty well. I believe that they're back to trusting. Javonte with the ball in his hands. To be able to get big yards and break those tackles. That was something that we were missing from, before the injury. He was just a tackle breaking machine. I think he's that guy again. I think he's back to being a 3-down back. And then Estime is going to get a change of pace And then who's the other guy? There's the third running back as well.
Well, we've still got Jaleel McLaughlin going out there. So he's going to be your speed guy, of course.
Yeah, he's going to be kind of like your joker role. If you guys have been following, Sean Payton's been kind of joking about that within the joker role. He doesn't really have one in this offense, but he intends on eventually pulling him into that. So I'd like to see that happen in more of like a Dalvin Cook style running back role. But we'll see what happens. I think he's obviously very good in the speed game, and then Javonte is just a tackle breaking machine. I think the more times we can get the ball in Javonte's hands, the better. Whether it's on the ground or over the air, I think just get the ball in his hands, just like we talked about Marvin Mims. Get the ball in his hands, let them do their work after the catch. But obviously, don't get it to him when the tackler's there already. Like
for sure, that's not going to help him. And Allison, great question here. I think that there's a decent. I'm going to think big here. I'm going to think big, and I'm going to say Troy Franklin after his last game with the dropped touchdown in the end zone. On that deep ball, I think maybe you see it this week. Maybe you just needed to see, if you're Troy Franklin, you needed to see that somebody was going to give you a chance, right? And now that you got a chance, you can go out there and play with a little more confidence. Even though you didn't catch that ball, you can now build on that a little bit. And that would be kind of my out there prediction a little bit. But if I had to pick one, that may be, especially against this Chargers defense that is really, really good, maybe that's the way to get it going this week.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with what I said in the pregame, and going back to what I was kind of just saying, is I think Javonte Williams has his breakout game today. I think we're going to be able to get the job done on the ground if we can isolate their defensive, especially with the offensive line problems that we have, specifically in the injury category. You don't want to threaten Bo Nix getting injured by making him throw 42 times. Obviously, game time situations will dictate how many times he throws the ball. But if we can establish the run game, I think Javonte gets his first touchdown and possibly his second touchdown today.
Whoa. Okay, Jared. I love it. 2 rushing touchdown for Javonte Williams today. You heard it here first, guys. Make sure that when you bet your money on it, and if you lose on that bet, I'll make sure to get you guys Jared's personal information so that you be sure to thank him directly. We'll make that happen for you.
I think the over under is 0.5, so I think we'll be all right with this one. Let's go ahead and just give him the one.
Fair enough. All right. Now, Jared, we have been talking a little bit about the injuries, but there are more for this Los Angeles Chargers squad. And I think we talked about the importance of running the ball for the Denver Broncos. Running the ball for the Chargers is going to be super important too, because of I hate to say lack of talent when talking about any NFL position group, because they're still NFL players, but relative lack of superstar talent in the Chargers wide receiver room. And against this Denver secondary, I don't know that they match up incredibly well from Los Angeles's perspective. So not having Gus Edwards in that room, and I want you to talk about a little bit more about J.K. Dobbins and his effectiveness, but not having Gus Edwards for those Chargers is going to be tough today.
Yeah, this is one of those weird situations where we might be the team that proves that another player is really good and they need him. It's happened to us in the past where somebody comes in, we're like, who's this guy? And all of a sudden he's putting up, 200 yards on us. J.K. Dobbins, we cannot sleep on him. He is a very good running back. When he was with the Ravens, he was kind of in a secondary role over there. He is a very athletic and very strong runner. So we can't just kind of sleep on J.K. Dobbins as their lead role, especially when we know that they're not going to be able to throw the ball as effectively as they're going to want to. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to give the ball to him. And I would not be surprised to see a couple breakout runs, 10, 15 yard, maybe 20 yard runs, because he does have that speed and that electricity at the line of scrimmage.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You're making a lot of sense, Jared. Making a lot of sense. And yes, Allison, we did talk about this a little bit earlier, but yes, Joey Bosa is out for this game. He will not play. I think they have Bud Dupree stepping in on the other side of Khalil Mack. Still a pretty formidable pass rush for this Chargers team, but obviously not having Bosa in there is a big loss for them. They're also missing cornerback Asante Samuel, safety Tony Jefferson on that side of the ball. So yeah, even coming off of the bye week, the Chargers a little bit banged up. Jared, one area where they got banged up before the bye week and have mercifully gotten a little healthy from their own perspective, they had both tackles come back to practice this week, and both are active today. So you've got Rashawn
That is
Slater
unfortunate for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that, honestly, Jared, they're good, but here's the thing. I still think that's an area, if you're the Broncos defense, you can exploit. I think you can exploit Joe Alt, the rookie, especially. He has had some really good moments this season so far, and he's obviously going to be, I think, if he stays on this trajectory, one of the better tackles in this league very soon. But he is, I think, somebody you can exploit right now. I think, there are still times when he loses just one-on-one reps. And I also think if you're going to overload blitzes to one side, and what does Vance Joseph love to do if not blitz? I think that right side of the offensive line with your rookie tackle is going to be the way you want to go.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm with those two back in the game. Let's remember they are both first round draft picks, right? Both those guys, one this year and one last year. Or actually, Slater was 2021, so a few years back. But they're both first round guys. They're both playing very good offensive football in the pass game specifically. But like you said, I agree. I think Cooper and Bonito will be able to get to him. And I think what's going to really give it to him is the downfield coverage that we're going to be able to put down on their wide receivers. I think our defensive backfield has just been absolutely tremendous. And just given the time for the DBs or the defensive line to be able to get to the quarterback. I think where we're really matched up is in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I don't know. I don't even know if we need to do stunts or anything, but Bradley Bozeman and their center is not playing super well. Zion Johnson at one of their guards is playing okay. But Trey Pipkins also not playing well. So when you got guys like Zach Allen, Franklin Myers, and DJ Jones in the middle there, I think they're going to be able to get pressure up the middle just by sheer force to be able to at least really what we need to do is we need to get in Herbert's head and make sure that he knows that he's not safe in the pocket. As soon as he's not safe in the pocket, he's going to make mistakes, and that's what we need. We need him to feel not safe in the pocket, either to scramble or to make a throw early, make a read too early to throw the ball, because that's where our DBs are really going to capitalize. And man, I'm going to say it again, Riley Moss on the opposite of Pat Surtain. When you have a number one corner like Pat Surtain, you always want somebody on the other side. And we were worried preseason, David, weren't we? We were worried about what Riley Moss could bring. Like we had it before. And we were worried about that. Like think about the no-fly zone, right? Aqib Talib and then Chris Harris. You're talking about two guys that are either one of them could have been your number ones. And now we're starting to talk about Riley Moss holding his own on the other side. Riley Moss holding his own on the other side to Pat Surtain because the ball's getting thrown to him because that's the case. Because they're not going to throw it towards Pat Surtain's way. And then you saw in the Raiders game what happens when you do. So I think that the Chargers are going to look at that and be like, how do we exploit the other side with Riley Moss? So the one thing I'm worried about here for Riley Moss on this side is that he has had some pass interference issues, right? So looking out for that back shoulder throw is going to be something that I think is going to be big for him today. If he can cut down on the pass interference, I think we're just going to be able to shut them down through the air. I'm guessing less than 150 yards for Herbert.
I love that. And, you were talking about the pass rush. I know everybody in Chargerland is excited this week because Justin Herbert came off the injury report. No longer on the injury report with that ankle, even though he started the week limited on that ankle. So I listen, I am not convinced that Justin Herbert is fully healthy to begin with, no matter what the injury report says. That ankle is not feeling 100% right now. And if you're the Broncos, you've got to take that advantage of that mobility issue if it's there, like you said. You've got to get your interior pass rush going, and I think that's a really good matchup for Denver this week.
I'm going to give you a secret on injuries in the NFL. If you're healthy because you're on drugs. If you're on the injury report, it's because like you almost cannot go out there without making it 10 times worse. And if you're out because you're having surgery or some sort of issue. Like there's no such thing as a fully healthy player. And I don't think that ankle is fully healthy. I think he's just going to be hopped up on drugs for this game. And I'm hoping and not for nothing, coming off an injury, especially an ankle injury as a quarterback, you're worried about it, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to want to get that ball out. You're not going to want to get hit. You're going to want to get that ball out. There's a mental game to it, specifically the quarterback position. That really plays into this. And it's shown this year. He has not been 100% at all this year. I mean, they're 2-2. They had a bye week last week to kind of let him get healthy. But I don't know. I think if we can get to Herbert at once or twice, it's going to get in his head and it's going to be at the end of the game.
Absolutely right. Yeah, no, I think you're right. keep them coming, guys. We love all these questions, love all these comments. We are here for you at Tailgate Talk. Stick with us, guys. We will be here up almost until kickoff time. We will also have our halftime hash, the original live halftime show, Jared. And
right
so
here.
we'll be here, right here. Same place, guys. Same place.
Same place.
And that'll be more of a rapid fire. We'll have. I know you'll have comments. You'll have questions after that first half. No matter how it goes, you guys will have opinions, and we'll want to talk about them. So come meet us there. Jared. The question on everybody's mind today, I think.
Oh yeah, what's the question?
The most important thing that we haven't discussed so far.
Oh, this seems important.
The uniform matchup, Jared.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna see the Broncos come out in the orange jerseys with the blue pants today. What are you thinking?
Yeah. Well, first, I don't think this is the most important matchup.
This is clearly the most important.
This is not the most important thing. However, yeah, I'm interested. I said it in the Orange Weekly chat, and I'm going to say it here too. I have gotten foot and mouth before with looking at a uniform. At the beginning of the season, I looked at the uniforms that they were going to throw out there on the field, and I was like, why are we going back to the 80s? And by 80s, I mean like not cool 80s, like 80s with futuristic colors. You know what I mean? Like the Vanilla Ice 8. Oh, okay. Vanilla people think Vanilla Ice cool. But like, you know what I mean? Like when I first saw it, but then I saw them coming out on the field. I was like, wow, those look much cleaner on the field than I thought they would. Like those look real good. So I'm not going to say it, but I'm worried about what this is going to look like on the field. The orange and blue, orange top, blue bottom is going to be an interesting matchup. I did wear the orange jersey today. We'll talk about it afterwards. What do you think about the orange and blue?
I like it so far. Guys, I know the uniforms. We just came off the week with the throwback uniforms, right? And so that's anything by comparison is going to seem a little bit less like incredibly special because obviously those uniforms are probably the best in the NFL. Having said that, I love the versatility that these uniforms come with. Like we can do so many different combinations. I love that. I am loving that the players want to try them. And it, once again, they look, just watching the players run out onto the field in them, it looks a lot better than the orange top, blue pants combination that we tried a couple times in the last 2 years with the old uniforms. So
I'll say this, with the new uniforms, I think it's going to match better. I think just the older uniforms, these ones just didn't match well with the blue because there's not enough blue on this top side. And
the stripe
right?
doesn't match up. Yeah,
it just doesn't match up. But I think with the new tops, I think it's going to look pretty good. The other thing I like, let's talk about this. Like, Walmart and the owners, right? So the owners have been actually doing a pretty, like at first when they bought us out and we were like, we'll see how this goes, right? We obviously were happy to have one of the richest owners in the league, but I think what they're doing, they're giving us new practice facilities. They're updating the uniforms. They're making changes, and they're not huge changes, but they're changes that I think are being shown. Bringing back the old Broncos uniform last week. I feel like we're going to be talking about this for a while until we wear them again, but like that was legit. That was amazing to see. And then going forward and just changing up the uniform. I think I like what I'm seeing that they're doing. Obviously, they can only control so much as far as on-field control, right? That's more of a coaches and players situation. But I do appreciate what they've been doing so far as the ownership group.
Absolutely. And it's just, you can clearly tell there is a commitment to really building, a place where players want to come play. And that's not there are clearly some owners in the NFL who just look at their teams as a way to make money, and that's the way it goes. And we are lucky in Broncos country to have owners that have enough money and can actually put those resources into the team, develop those new practice fields, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if they'll move the stadium. That's a thing that is still, in the beginnings of discussion, and I hope they don't because it's in a really good spot.
We just got a new stadium, and yeah, we are in a good spot. Like, we cannot move locations. I think that is the prime spot for Denver. Like, the fact that you could drive up I-25 and just, that's the first thing you see when you get into Denver. Like, when you get into downtown Denver, the first thing you see is the stadium, and it's just so cool to watch and so cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely right. Paula, big fan of the uniforms. Jerry loves the old-time uniforms, and he loves the way things are going as far as the new ownership. Terry, probably no relation to Jerry, because obviously first names rhyming is not usually an indication of being family.
That's not how that works.
No, that's not how it works, guys. 24-20 Broncos, said Terry. And Terry, if you listen to the pregame podcast, you will know that one of your humble hosts agrees with you on who will win this game, and one of them doesn't. And I'm not going to say who does and who doesn't, but Jared was willing to say. So that's
I'll go ahead and say 24-20. It just seems like a high score to me, man. Like I feel like it's going to be such a defensive game. Like
I saw somebody say 27-20 earlier. I was like, what? No.
Let's see. Let's see. Jerry said 13-19 for the win. That's kind of more of along lines of what I was saying. And then Terry said 24-20. I don't know, man. Like we'll get to our score predictions. If you haven't listened to the pregame podcast, it's a little bit late now. You're listening to us now already. But make sure you guys are following us on all of your podcast listening. Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and get our inputs on this. We go really in depth in the pregame podcast about like matchups and why we think some matchups are better than others, and specifically at different position groups and different like schemes. We go really in depth football wise on the pregame podcast, so make sure you guys are following us. I just think it's going to be a lower score game, man. Like it's going to be such a defensive game. Not going to lie, I was not expecting us to put up 31 points last week.
True. Yeah, fair enough. Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
And you scored 27 on offense, too. That's a respectable number to score on offense.
That is a respectable offensive number, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't expecting 27 on offense. So
Right.
So the Broncos can come out and surprise me. Here's the other thing. Let's talk about this, David. Why have we not been able to do anything in the first half? Like, I feel like we're going back to like the Tebow days of like nothing happens till the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden things are starting happening. Like, I don't want that. I want us to get going. I want us to have a good first half and not just a first drive. Like, our first drives usually aren't terrible.
Yeah.
But I want to see something a little bit more consistency, at least driving the football. If we get stopped and, take field goals, we take field goals. But I just don't like seeing the 3 and outs or, the only one first down and then having a punt. Like, I just don't like seeing as many punts in the first half. Like, what is it that we need to do offensively to be able to sustain that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, and this is just my opinion based on nothing more, nothing concrete that I know or anything like that. Just my opinion based on what I've seen. I just think that Bo Nix right now is still struggling to wrap his head around the NFL game. And I think he has been able to adjust in games, in the second halves and, read what he's seeing from specific defenses a little bit better in these second halves as the game has gone along. I think he's just getting more comfortable as the game goes. But yeah, I think maybe that's what it is. I think teams are just continually coming out against looks that maybe he hasn't seen yet. And I think maybe, if it starts to stabilize in the next 3 to 4 weeks, if you see that offense in the first half, it start to improve a little bit more. I think that maybe that theory will be vindicated a little bit, because NFL defenses, they all do things a little bit of a different way, but at a certain point, they're all doing the same things, just like NFL offenses, right? They're all doing the same plays, even if they're running, this player on a different route than this player on a particular iteration of that, whatever. So I think at a certain point, they'll just run out of new looks, maybe that Bo Nix just hasn't seen before and doesn't know how to play against. But that's just kind of my theory. I have no solid information to back that up.
I'll say this. I hope that's the theory. I hope that's the case. And honestly, because that can be fixed. You know what I mean? Like, it's not one of those things. It's like in the first half, if the theory is he's just not seeing the defenses or he's not getting the good looks in practice, which is really what it comes down to, right? You watch film Monday morning and all night Sunday after the game. You're watching film on your next opponent so you can build the practice plan, right? Your coaches are building the practice plan for the next week. And then you're trying to build the defense, your scout defense, your main defense, trying to put them in a position to let your quarterback see what the defense is going to be based on film. And if that's the case, then all it comes down to is you're right, not used to the NFL thought process and then the way that it's working out. And we can fix that. That is things that film study is a thing quarterbacks need to do. And if he can get that, we're talking about our guy, right? Like there's a lot of people that are saying Bo Nix is our guy forever. This is the first time we've taken a first round quarterback in a while. And this will hopefully be the first successful one since Elway.
Yeah.
And we didn't even take Elway in the first round. Like,
yeah, right.
So I think I have a lot of faith in Bo Nix, regardless of how this game goes. We can get blown out and he can have the worst game. I still have a lot of faith in Bo Nix to be able to learn as the season goes on, as next year comes up. And we talked about in the pregame podcast, right? Jalen Daniels is absolutely ruining rookie quarterbacks for everybody. He's playing so well, and obviously everybody wants that for their team. And he's obviously a once in a lifetime type player, and I hope he does continue to play as well as he has been. It'd be nice to see Washington, being a competitor after so many years. However, we just can't expect that out of Bo Nix. We can't just expect him to come out and be playing like Jaden Daniels right off the bat. He's going to learn, and so far we've seen it. The Tampa Bay game, right? Terry brought it up. His best first half was against Tampa Bay. He played well there. The Jets game was a rainy game, so we called that an anomaly. Right. The Raiders game in the second half, he absolutely destroyed it, was killing it. And even not in the second half, that throw to Franklin was amazing, right? That read and that throw was great. So he's getting there, and that's all we can ask for as Broncos country, right?
Yeah. I mean, really, guys, like we've been saying it all, and guys, it's been 5 games. That's another thing to remember, right? We have literally been here for 5 games with this new rookie quarterback. And so, we've got to just give it time. We've been saying it the entire season. The progression might not be linear, guys. It might not be, he just gets a little better every week. There might be times when he looks really, really improved, and the next week he takes a step back. We're still building toward the end of the season, right? It's still not about what it looks like right this minute, even though the Broncos are 3-2 and seemingly have a good chance to get to 5-2 by next Sunday if they win today. It's not. Let's just, you keep this game in front of you.
Pump the brakes. Yeah,
I know.
We got 1 hour till this game. Let's talk about this one.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Fair. Okay, Jared, pull me back in. Fine. It's whatever. It's fine. Really? I won't. Because what if you go 5-2? Then no. It's anyway.
Let's talk about that though. Like this is probably the best first half of the season that we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I don't.
Since Vance Joseph was the head coach and we went 4-0, and then Tim the rest of the season. But I do think this is probably one of the better first half of the seasons, and because normally we're out by in the past 3 years, we'll say, right, we're out by this time. We're like, oh man, this season's over already. We still have a shot, and we can lose a couple games on the way and still have a shot, as opposed to like, oh, we need to win out to stay relevant. I forget the stat what it was, but there's a bunch of teams that are 3-2 right now. There's a lot of teams that are 3-2 right now.
It was 20. I think I saw 20 teams are either 2-3 or 3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a big one. Let's see. And as I'm looking at some of these, I don't know. I can't see their records on here right now, but I'll look it up. There's a lot of teams that are, Tennessee is beating Indy just real quick across the NFL. All these games across the NFL so far have been really close. There's been really no big blowouts except for the morning game to this morning in London, where Chicago just absolutely demolished the Jaguars. But Baltimore, Washington's close. Green Bay, Arizona is decently close. New England's getting stomped, so that's nice to see. New Orleans, Tampa Bay is close. So there's a lot of really close games. This is probably the least amount of disparity in the NFL that we've seen in quite a few years.
And man, I know we're not talking about the Chiefs quite yet. They're still a few weeks away as far as a Broncos opponent, but at 5-0, I don't know, man. I've been watching some of these Chiefs games, and that offense, especially without all these playmakers that they thought they were going to have, Xavier Worthy is nice, but without Rashee Rice for the rest of the season now, yeah. And you've already had injury problems with Hollywood Brown, who was supposed to be another guy who was going to take the top off of that defense. You're seeing Travis Kelce slow down dramatically. That you'll get playoff Kelce, but regular season Kelce is a thing now. And so there's no giant in the NFL this year so far. There's no team that I look at for the Broncos specifically and are like, oh man, we're going to get run out of the building by them. Right.
There's no team, especially with this defense. Right. And that's really the big part about this. And as I'm talking about this defense, let's talk about what John just texted us as he's, getting ready for this game as well. PS2, 2 or more interceptions plus 1,600. Can it happen 2 weeks in a row? I mean, that's a hard line because again, you're looking at a team who doesn't have very good wide receivers. I don't know if they're even going to attempt to throw to his side maybe once or twice this entire game. I think they're just going to avoid him at literally all costs. I think that's going to be the game plan for the Chargers. That's going to be a tough line for me. But yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Like the fact that even the NFL is seeing these things, right? Like the betting lines, the NFL, everyone is seeing that Pastor Tan's real. He's by far, and we have the orange and blue goggles on, and I've watched a lot of other games. We watched the Jets, we watched some of those other guys that have these top corners, but really Pastor Tan is the real shutdown corner of the NFL, and I'm just so happy to have him. I got myself a jersey of his because him and Javonte are both just two guys that I really have faith in to be Broncos for life, to just continue this process and just bring our team back to relevance. And if we win this game, I think we're back in relevance, man.
I mean, at a certain point, you can't I get it. 4-2, you're 6 games into the season, but a 4-2 team is not a team you can ignore anymore.
Right.
Like that. Yeah. Like you can't just brush them off. So yeah, if we win this game, you've got to expect the national talk to be a little bit more about what these Broncos can continue to do down the stretch.
But not just that. We're talking about an AFC West opponent right now. If we win this game, we're up 2-0 on the AFC West. That is huge for further down the line. If you're talking later on the season, you're talking already being up 2-0 on the AFC West. If it does come down to something real close, because like we said, low disparity in the NFL this year, and it's going to come down to conference matchups. Having a 2-0 record, these are the games that while we look at it like, yeah, it's still early in the season, there's a lot of things that happen. These are things that can set us up for success in the future. And I don't know. I know that Sean Payton's thinking it. I know that the ownership group is thinking it. But I hope, the players are just looking one game at a time to be able to say, hey, let's let the Chargers come into town and let's do what we do against the Chargers when they're in Denver. Because we haven't talked about that either. Chargers aren't really successful in Denver.
Yeah, right. Absolutely true. And that we, even in the years remember Drew Lock and who's the receiver who is now, I think he's on Buffalo's practice squad and he just couldn't stay healthy. He wore number 1. I can't remember. But Drew Lock throwing it to him on the last play in the end zone for the touchdown to beat the Chargers. That I think it was 2021.
Was it Hamilton?
No. See, that's the thing. It's anyway. But you also had
he went to the Bills afterwards, and he had a successful career. Are you think about him?
No. You think so? That's Isaiah McKenzie, who's a different Denver Broncos receiver who played in the. He's bounced around practice squads because he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. But I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, he is. But there was that. There was even with Russell Wilson. The Chargers had a tough time beating the Broncos in Denver. Last year, I remember who was it? Lil Jordan Humphrey got free on, I don't know how, that catch and run that ended up being the deciding touchdown score.
And he broke 3 tackles on that too. He was amazing on that catch and run.
It was insane. So yeah,
and I don't think that was Russell Wilson. I think at that point we'd put in who's the backup at the time? Was it Stidham? Was it?
It was Stidham. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think we'd put in Stidham at that point. I think it was Stidham to Jill Jordan Humphrey at that point.
It might have been. So yeah, I history is definitely on the Broncos side. There is momentum there. It exists. Okay. All right, guys, keep these comments coming. Keep these questions coming. Jerry thinks that the Chargers will be run out of the stadium by halftime because of that altitude. We will have to see about that, Jerry. But I like the theory. I'm with you 100%. Team Puffball never dies. Yeah, that's right, Jared. I have to say, just a quick aside for Team Puffball here. We have literally convinced you to stop wearing visors. That's the story I'm going with. That's the story I'm going with. Yeah, it was
KJ Hamler.
Yeah,
there it is. Thank you, Terry.
Jerry. Yeah, absolutely right. Good job, Terry. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, we have definitely pulled Jared off of Team Visor. He's now Team Golf Hat. We love Team Golf Hat, and Team Visor is dead forever. So I think Team Puffball gets the ultimate victory. And no, put it away. Oh boy, here we go.
You see how quick that was, right?
I saw it. No, you were ready to go.
So many visors throughout the house that I could just literally grab them for wherever.
They're strategic.
And just go for it.
Oh my gosh. You've never looked more like, not like Sean Payton, but like Kevin James playing Sean Payton in that Netflix movie. And that's not to say. Now hold on.
That went from a
Now hold on just a minute.
That went from a really cool compliment to just something really bad, real fast.
Hold on just a minute, because I don't want that to be a commentary on your weight. Nobody's fat shaming anybody here. You look gorgeous. However, I will also say that there was a certain fraudulent aspect to just watching Kevin James wear that visor and pretend to be Sean Payton that I don't think the movie was ever really able to overcome. And that's what this is giving me right now.
Yeah. All right, I'll throw it back on the golf hat because Jerry likes it.
Hell yeah. Well, Jerry's.
I do it for the fans.
It's all for the fans. Obviously, that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Jerry's always had good sense in hats. That's why he's a member of Team Puffball. All right, back to this game. And so, Jared, you were talking a little bit about the division earlier, and I want to talk a little bit more just about the Broncos in the conference. Okay. I think that if you're going to talk about playoffs as an eventuality for this team, and I know it's really still too soon, but guys, we have an hour show to fill. If you are going to talk about playoffs for this team,
Speaking of which, make sure you make some comments to help us out. Give us your comments so we can talk to you guys. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely, guys. We're here to talk to you, not talk at each other, which we're clearly happy to do
all the time anyway. Yeah.
Right. So these conference games are so important to win. And, obviously your division games are important too, but I don't think that we're really in a position to talk about the Broncos as challenging the Chiefs for the division title this year at the very least. So if you are thinking about the Broncos as a playoff team, it's going to be as a wild card team, right? And that means your most important tiebreaker is going to be conference games, your conference record. And so that is going to be, keep winning these AFC games, guys. Keep winning games against the Chargers and the AFC North. You've got the Browns coming. You've got the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens and the Bengals both. I know the Bengals record looks like what it is this year, but guys, it's only because their defense is absolutely atrocious. That offense is singing right now, and if they could get a defense, they would be like, if the Bengals had the Broncos defense right now, they'd be a Super Bowl contender. They'd be the Super Bowl contender, I think. So just keep it going with your conference games, win your division games too, obviously, but keep that in mind for the end of the season, I think.
Yeah, and if you think about this too, like the AFC East, I don't think they're going to have anybody. I don't think the Jets just fired their head coach. I don't think the Jets are going to be playoff contention. You got the Steelers. You're looking at the Steelers in second place in the AFC North. That's a tough one. They're actually playing pretty good football right now. The Colts just lost today. Or no, wait. Are they losing? The Colts are in a close game against Tennessee. Right now they're winning. So that's a tough one in their division. They're second place there against the Texans are going to make the playoffs. They're just playing really good football right now. They're getting beat right now by the Ravens. So that's going to knock them down a little bit. But that'll put them at 4-2. So if we can get at 4-2, like you're talking, like we're already in the hunt. And again, super early. But if we can keep this up in the play that we've been able to make, again, wins and losses are the only thing that matters. And I think that's another cool thing about this season. We've had a lot of close games, and we've been able to finish them. Right? That's the difference between the Russell Wilson Broncos and the Bo Nix Broncos is we've been able to finish the close games, whether that be our defense playing on all cylinders or the offense actually being able to finish out drives to kick field goals to win the game. Whatever that is, we're actually finishing games. And I think that's really cool, and that brings an extra air of confidence in the locker room to these players saying like, hey, even if we are close, we still have this. Right. It's no longer like this. Oh, if we're close, like, there's no way we're driving down. Like, I can't tell you how many times, and you guys all know this, like how many times that we had the ball to go drive down the field to win the game and just Russ just dropped it. like there was a couple times he fumbled it or he like literally dropped the ball or threw an interception or something. We don't have that confidence to be able to drive down the field anymore, but now we do. And I think that's another level of confidence that they have in Bo Nix and this offense. They may struggle most of the game, but at least they can put something together to be able to go down and make a drive.
Yeah, that would be. And man, we've seen it too. Like especially, just last week, for instance, that end of half drive, right? When the Broncos were down, it was tied. It was tied 10-10 going into the first half. The Broncos have the ball. The Raiders are getting the ball coming out of the second half. So you really want to get some points. I think the Broncos actually were getting. Doesn't matter. You want to get points either way there, but you only have 27 seconds left, right? And they hadn't done anything on offense basically the entire half up until that point. And then they get a nice play to Troy Franklin down the field, a nice completion to Cortland Sutton, I believe, and they get into field goal range and they kick that in before going into the half. They get a 15-yard penalty as well to help them out. So it was a really, really encouraging sign that even though they didn't have a lot of mojo going that for them so far, they were able to get those points in that 2-minute drill at the end of the half.
Yeah. Let's see. Jerry asks, is Kev Dan at the game? He is. Him and Spotty, I believe, are both at that game. Any home game, just expect that Kev Dan's going to be there. Spotty got some tickets last minute, so I'm excited that they're going to be there. Super jealous of them. Gary, now that I think about it, I should start buying some plaid pants. I need to buy some plaid shorts just to top off the outfit, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes. There's no doubt in my mind about it, pal. You've got to get more. Get plaid, get I want to see kind of a shirt with maybe a monogrammed logo. I want to see a lot out of this.
Monogrammed logo. All right.
All right. And so, and Jared, boy, if you can get out here by the time the Panthers games comes up, I will be going to that game. So that'll be super fun.
Ooh.
But yeah, let's get you. We got to get you to some game this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, for the fans, I know we've talked about it with you, but I'll be heading back to Colorado for the first time in a few years. So I'm excited for that. Maybe I do look at some of these games. I'm trying to go to the Chargers Christmas game or Christmas Eve, I believe it is, up in LA. That'd be really cool for me. I think I've tried to go to at least one game a year. So I'm super, super excited for that. But are we playing the Panthers around Thanksgiving?
We are playing the Panthers. No, that's on October 27th.
Ooh, I'm not going to be able to make it out to that one. Who are we playing around Thanksgiving time frame? Let's see.
Let's see here.
We're at the Raiders on the 24th. So we're in Vegas. Which is rough because I'm halfway between Colorado and Vegas right now.
Vegas. So. But man, that's always such a fun game. But that's not gonna work.
Yeah, we went to a Raiders game. We went to the Raiders game in Vegas a couple years back. That was a lot of fun. We lost, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It would definitely do it again, guys. Definitely, if you guys can make it out to Vegas for a game, highly recommend. Very nice stadium, very nice people, which I don't expect to say about Raiders fans a lot, but
right, yeah, we were wearing orange the entire way. We were way decked out in orange, almost to the point where they were like, "You guys are going too far." But it was a lot of fun, and we lost. The guys around us, everybody around us was good about it. I'll say this: I went to a Broncos game with Ray actually one time. In Denver, and we sat next to a Raiders fan. I think the conversation was, the league is better when both teams are good, right? I just feel like the rivalry is better when both teams are playing well. And so I love to see that in the NFL. I love to see that in fans, and just the atmosphere of the games are better when both teams are doing well, and it means something, right? When the games mean something is really what it comes down to. That I think last week that game meant something for both teams. So that was really cool. This game specifically means something. This is the isolation and separation going into the second half of the season that really matters against the Chargers, because we don't see them again until December, 3 games prior to the end of the season. So we'll see what happens this week as we go forward. Guys, don't forget, we will be here at halftime. David, you joining me at halftime?
I'll be around.
Both of us are going to be here at halftime, taking in your rapid fire comments, questions, and concerns / comments on what you saw in the first half. Don't forget to join us on Tuesday Don't forget to go over to, as Gary's commenting here, from our YouTube page. Make sure you go to YouTube and click on the subscribe button. It helps us with getting our name out and helping us out to continue doing this for you guys, as well as clicking the like button and subscribe on both YouTube and Facebook. On Tuesday was our flagship show. We got as many people as we possibly can on there talking about Broncos. And then, here we're here at the Tailgate Talk now. You'll see us here again at halftime. Make sure you're going to Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts, and hit the subscribe button for that as well. Listen to our podcast. We get really in depth on those podcasts. If you're a big football fan, we go in depth on the matchups and schemes, and it's really cool to listen to if you guys have a chance to. So make sure you guys at least listen to one, give it a shot. Let us know what you think, or what you think you could change. Just feel free to slide into the DMs, and we do this for you. We started this, I guess it's 8 years ago now, Orange Weekly, and we do this for you guys. We do this for the fans because we want to talk to you guys and see what your guys' input is. So please make sure you guys give us that feedback. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, 100%. And Gary's completely right, Jared. You could just jump on Team Puffball. There is always an open spot for you. We tried out Kevin a couple of years ago. It didn't really work out so much. Mostly my fault, but I think you can. I think you.
I'll say this. Of the two of us, I own a puffball. You do not own a visor. So that is on me. I do own a puffball. So I have a couple puffballs here. Colorado, man, you got to have a puffball at some point.
Got to have a puffball.
You're wearing it now. What's the weather in Denver right now? Like what are we?
It's pretty warm. No, it's warm. I would say it's going to be in the mid 70s today. So yeah, obviously I won't be taking this off after the show. Because the novelty, it will have worn off and it'll feel a little sweaty. But I will also say that just in general, guys, you've watched South Park, this is how it goes. Now, here's Terry's question. Jared, I think we will, in fact, I know we will be doing a pregame show for Thursday. How that usually works is, guys, we usually just record that directly after the Bourbon Broncos and No BS show every Tuesday night on a Thursday week. So we might do that live. We might not. Stick around. Make sure you watch the Bourbon Broncos and No BS show Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time to find out if we're going to do that live. Either way, we will be recording it that night, and we will have it up for you probably sometime on Wednesday. So yeah, keep an eye open for that. That is when that will happen.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be doing one of these tailgate talks. I think that what game is that at the Saints? So maybe Kevin can jump on that. I don't know if I'll be back in town, but I think the plan is we will be doing a tailgate. We try to bring it to you as much as possible, as much content as possible, because, again, we love talking to Terry, man. Like, really appreciate you guys commenting and helping us out. So,
absolutely. Hey, Victor, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everybody for joining us today as we have gone through another tailgate talk, a very successful tailgate talk. Once again, make sure you come back for halftime. Gary's going to hang out around Facebook for the game highlights. Make sure you come back for the halftime hash, Gary. We will see you then. Jerry coming back in with his score prediction, 13-19 for the Broncos for the win. I love it, Jerry. Probably going to be a low-scoring game. Run the football, Denver, and we will see if we can come out of here with another victory. Anthony thinks 20-10. Jared, shall we give them our score predictions from the pregame podcast?
We should. And is there anything that has changed for you, David, in the past 72 hours or whatever since we recorded the pregame podcast that makes you think this game is going to go a different way?
No, I am sticking with my prediction 100% here, Jared. I am saying Denver Broncos squeak out a win in a low-scoring game. I think it's 13-10 is going to be the margin of victory for Denver today. What about you, Jared? Has anything changed for you, the man who did not pick the Broncos to win?
Yes, actually, some things have changed, and that's Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa on Friday, we thought that he was going to be playing in a limited role. He is out for this game, and I think that is a big blow to that Broncos defense, and I think our offense can take advantage of that. Okay. So yes, in the pregame show, I did pick the Chargers to win because I just have not seen it from the offense yet. I just haven't seen the consistency. I haven't seen the ability to drive downfield and make the scores when they matter. Specifically early in the game, I thought this game might have gotten out of hand or at least behind. I do think that the Chargers are decently safe with the football, and J.K. Dobbins is a very good running back. However, I'm changing my prediction, man.
Oh boy,
it's happening.
Here it comes.
Yeah,
it's coming in.
I think the Broncos win this game, man. I do. I do. I think with Joey Bosa out, I think our offense is able to get a few good drives in. Whether it's all field goals or touchdowns, I do think Javonte Williams, like I said, gets in for one or maybe two with Joey Bosa out. I'm going to change my prediction completely. I think that we are dominant on defense. We let one touchdown squeak through, just like we did with the Raiders, whenever that is. I think the Broncos win this game. I'm going to say 19-13.
I love this. I love it. Jared and Jerry on the same page today. And yes, thank you, Gary, for answering the question here. Is the game going to be on TV this week? Yes, it is. CBS in about 10 minutes, guys. And there are obviously several areas in the country who won't get it, but there is a large swath of the country that will. So if you are in or around the state of Colorado at all, you will be able to see this game at 2:05 on CBS.
In or around the LA, San Diego area, by the way, is also on cable. So if you're from my part of the town, you also are going to get this game on cable.
That's right. That's right.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jared, the things that you said when predicting the Broncos to lose in the pregame podcast, they hurt me deeply.
Yeah.
Because they were logical. They did.
Yeah,
they hurt me very deeply. Yes. No, because they were logical, because they made a lot of sense. And I couldn't refute them even though I wanted to. Now you're on the optimism train with me, and we are full steam ahead. Let's go, Broncos country.
Let's go. I'm stoked for this matchup. I'm really excited for this game. I do think that this is a winnable game. Regardless of my prediction, I do think this is a winnable game. I don't think we're going to be able to stomp them like we did the Raiders. I think this is going to be a closer game, specifically looking at the rest of the league. Again, very little disparity. Let's talk about this. The Chargers had a week off, an extra week to study the Broncos, and they probably watched that game against the Raiders very closely because it's very similar type style defense other than their defensive back. Their defensive backs are much better than the Raiders' defensive backs. However, they're going to look at what we did, and they had an extra week to prepare. And that's a big thing when you're talking about the NFL. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come off to a slow start. But like you said, Bo Nix is very good, and Sean Payton is very good at making adjustments on the fly. They're making adjustments mid-game to be able to get the ball down the field. I think we need to establish the run game. Javonte Williams is going to absolutely kill it for us. We have 3 running backs that are all very, very good. We can mix it up if we need to. Get the ball down the field, kick the field goals, get in a scoring position, and just win this game. And I think it's possible now. Before I didn't think it was. I thought it was possible. I just didn't think it was going to be as easy as just predicting us to win. Right.
I love that. I love it, Jared. I love it. Okay, guys, we are wrapping up. We are about to give our final thoughts in just a few minutes, and then as a few minutes after that, the Broncos and Chargers are going to get started. Let's do it. But Jared plugged us a little bit earlier. I'm just going to give you another quick rundown of all the content that we've got coming for you every single day, guys. Follow us on our YouTube channel because that's where you're going to see all of it, right? You're going to see the post-game podcast every Monday with John, Kevin, and sometimes guests of Kevin's own picking. You're going to have the Bourbon Broncos and No BS show every Tuesday, our flagship show, Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Tuesday evenings. We are there. You're going to have the pregame podcast every single week around Thursday or Friday. And, of course, not only Tailgate Talk, but the original live halftime show, guys. And that's Halftime Hash, and we're coming to you later with that this afternoon as well. So we got a ton of content for you. Make sure you follow our podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you follow our videos on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to us on our YouTube channel. Get us some help with that algorithm. And Jared, I will toss it over to you first for your final thoughts. What are you thinking? Just last things about this Chargers game.
So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to think about a big picture. This game is a lot more important than I think people have been talking about it. Going 2-0 in the AFC West, going up to 4-2, vice 3-3, makes a huge difference for the Denver Broncos going forward. And I think this is a bigger game than I think. This is one of those games. This and the Oakland game, or the Vegas Raiders game, is 2 games that I think going back. If you look back on the games, saying, man, I wish we would have done X, Y, Z. Luckily for the Raiders game, we don't have to say that. And I think this is another one of those, right? Like we need to, in Colorado, in Denver, in front of the home crowd. We need to be able to take advantage of this situation. And I think we can. And I think with it, that if the Broncos go out and continue playing the way they did, the defense continues playing the way they do, and our offense continues to get better as we've seen over the course of the season, there's a good chance we end up walking out of here at 4-2, and we're talking like the first wild card in the AFC right now. And then the rest of the games, if we lose a game to, say, Kansas City or the Ravens or whatever the case is, it doesn't hurt as hard. So it's a huge game that we need to win. Don't want to put too much pressure, but I think this is a case that we're going to look back on this game and saying either, oh man, I'm so glad we won that game, or man, I really wish that game would have went differently in the long run. So here's to winning an important game.
I love that. For me, I'm going to zoom in on Bo Nix, your rookie quarterback, a little bit, right? And specifically that week 1 matchup against the Seahawks, because he looked pretty lost out there against that Seahawks defense for basically all of that game. And that style of defense, that same, kind of the scheme and the, disguises and the simulated pressures and all that, that's exactly what Los Angeles runs. They've got Jesse Minter, who was John Harbaugh's, I believe, his DC at Michigan after Mike McDonald, who left Michigan to go to the Baltimore Ravens for 2 years, then obviously got that head coaching job in Seattle. Jesse Minter, who is now the Chargers defensive coordinator, replaced McDonald at Michigan. So going to have a lot of similarities to that defense, and he's got that defense playing well. That Chargers defense is playing well this season. So it's going to be a big test for Bo Nix to step up and show growth, right? To say, I saw this in week 1. It really messed with my head. Here we are in week 6. I know a little bit more. Now I can go out there and play a little bit better against it.
I love it, David.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
right.
we are 5 minutes from kickoff, guys, and this is the end of the tailgate talk. We will be here at halftime, your original halftime show across the Broncos country. So make sure you guys are tuning into us here and on YouTube. Make sure you're hitting those subscribe buttons to get those notifications that we're going live. Love you guys. Again, we're here for you. We love doing this for you guys. Being able to talk Broncos with all of Broncos country and as many fans as possible is really what we do this for. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And I think that's, is there anything else you got to say, David?
I've got nothing else to say, Jared, but to end it, as we always do, with a very strong Go Broncos. Take care, everybody. We'll see you at halftime. Thank you.